Hi guys, I got another repotting video for you. This lovely partridge breasted aloe or tiger aloe. There's lots of different names for this type. But if I can pull this out here, it's got quite a few pups that we're going to separate off and give these guys a little more space, and I will point the camera down and show you why. All right, so we got this little guy here, and as you can see, if you get up close, he's a little dusty, first off, but second off, you can see how some of these leaves are quite deep V's, and they're quite inset. They're not real thick and succulent like some of these inner leaves. Some of the outer leaves are looking a little thin, and that is because the amount of soil and water that I give it, the watering schedule that I have these guys on, just isn't supportive of how many pups and how big the pups are getting with this much soil. So for me, with all of the succulents I have, it's easier to keep them potted according to how I need to water them rather than trying to just figure out how everyone wants to be watered. Because I could totally just water him a few times a week and he would still be happy in here. He's not root bound to a point where he's unhappy or anything like that yet. But with my watering schedule, it's just easier for me to separate these guys, and I've been letting these pups get a little bit bigger, but they're plenty big now. So we're going to go ahead and separate them off. All right, you can see all the roots here. Maybe they're kind of fine. We're just gonna slowly work in a little bit. I'm gonna pull off any dead leaves that are tucked back up in here. And I'm guessing I won't separate all the pups. I'm guessing there will be a few that we'll leave, but we shall see. All right, there's a nice leaf in between here that I can get. Sometimes pulling off these dead leaves, if they're like hidden, wedged down in between, helps just give you just enough space that you can get your fingers in there and kind of wiggle things apart. All right. So if you can see right here, there's kind of a gap, and this is where I'm going to wedge my thumb and fingers, and it's going to be on the other side so that I can really kind of reef on it. But I'm going to pull and just pull these apart. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to turn it around this way. And there will be a few gentle cracks as some of these finer roots are broken off, but I don't want, with this particular plant, I don't want a huge crack at the first. If it is directly attached to the mother right here and doesn't have any peripheral roots, then we'll leave it. But I think these have roots of their own. Ah, yay, absolutely. So they weren't firmly attached to the mother anymore. They had kind of detached, so she's all in good shape. This pup here, you can see, is directly attached to her, so we're going to leave that and let it fully develop a bit more. And there's another little pup right here, which is really tiny, and we're definitely going to leave that. So this mother we're going to leave all just as she is. There's also on this side a few others coming from inside, and I'll have to save that for another time to show how to remove them if they're up inside the leaves like this. But for now, we're just going to let her stay how she is, and I'm going to put her back in this pot because she liked it, and now she'll have more room and more soil to get back to her normal watering schedule before the children were taking all of her energy. All right, and as I'm sure you've noticed if you've watched any of my potting videos, I don't care about making a mess. I don't do things slowly and neatly. I do things quickly, and I like to get the plant's roots covered up as quickly as possible and then back in their little dirt homes, and this is all easy to clean up later. All right, now let's move on to these guys, and you can see there's three, if I can get the light not to glare. There we go. There's three very individual pups. There's also a few very tiny little ones. I'm not going to stress about not hurting any of these little ones. My main focus is going to be on trying to get these three separated without hurting them or breaking off all of their roots. Now, when you separate a cluster like this, you're almost guaranteed to have quite a lot of roots on one, and at least one of these will come out with almost no roots. But as long as you have a piece or two coming off of it, they will totally root up fine and not be a problem at all. So don't panic too much about it, but do try and be as gentle as possible. And I know it looks, because I do things quickly, it can look like I'm being really rough, but I have literally separated plants for almost all of my life. And so my fingers have a feel for whether they're breaking roots or whether they're just separating them. And there's a nice big cluster with this one. There's a little dead leaf here that I'll just take off so that it's nice and clean, and I'm not going to knock any dirt off this. I'm just going to leave all that together. Then we have these two. Sorry, the light's a little bright, and we're just going to pull gently. See? This one has quite a lot of roots, and this one, like I said, you always end up with one with significantly less roots. But this is more than enough roots to get started well. This is a great little system, and there's no problem there. This will be a beautiful, beautiful little plant. All right, let's get these cleaned up. And this guy still has his little, if I can get the light to, sorry, that's whiting out there. Let me turn this here and see if I can, nope. Well, I don't know that you can see this. But there's a tiny, there we go. There's a tiny little pup right here that's still in good shape and attached. So I'm going to leave that there. And yeah, the other pup fell off right here. It's a little tiny stem, but that's okay. I'm not worried about those, but that's one of the reasons you don't want to take them off when they're too small, is it's very easy for them to break off from their mother or roots in a not healthy way. So I've got a little bit of a larger one that I'll put this one in, and then a medium for this one, and then this one that hardly had any roots I'm going to put in a really small pot just so that it doesn't easily get overwatered. And this is just a mixture of pumice and regular potting soil. These guys aren't very picky, at least not here with the environment and weather and temperature and everything that we have. And they do really well in just a simple mixture of regular potting soil with extra pumice added for drainage. When they're stuck in close to the mother, which it's a little bit hard to tell because of the lighting. The lighting is really washing things out a bit. But this is a lot lighter color than it should be, and that's just because it was crammed in between multiple pups. So really only the ends were getting enough light, and this middle, yeah, that's pretty accurate how it looks right now. That's very light, lighter than it should be. It should be darker, and this one that was on the edge is darker all the way down because it was getting more light. But that's another reason to separate pups. Even if there's still room in the pot, even if the mom's doing fine with them being attached, etc., another good reason to separate them is just to get better light exposure. It can prevent them from stretching, and once plants stretch, they never really go back. So preventing that is always nice. And we don't want to bury up past, so on these here where the leaves start all joining at the base, we don't want to bury them up like this and leave these bases of the leaves underneath the soil. That's very likely to cause rot. We want to just kind of pot them up to the very base of the leaves. But I usually pot them a little bit deeper and then pull it up and remash again and kind of do this just to get it all really good and happy and tight around the base. I really enjoy things with fat, succulent leaves, and these partridge-breasted aloes are no exception. I just love their fat and happy leaves. And they're very, very easy keepers in my experience. Again, I don't know how they do in an environment with tons of humidity or something like that, but where we are here in northern Idaho, these guys are just super happy windowsill dwellers, and they just make everything so much better. All right, so we got Mama, Big Brother, and little sisters, and they're all looking happy. All right, that's it for this potting video. This guy has his little tiny baby friend down in here, if you can see, and he'll grow into a new one eventually, and so will some of these around the mom. And if/when I repot these guys that are attached up in here, I will do my best to show you that process. And until then, I hope you're all well and happy growing.